Lynn in Silver Spring, Maryland. Hey, Lynn, what's up?
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Lynn.
I just wanted to call to discuss this issue. I think you're asking the wrong question when you're talking about African Americans and what have the Democrats have done or have not done. Obviously, Democratic policies benefit most people who are going to be lower income, poor people. That goes without saying. But the issue that, as I observe it from an African American point of view, is that there's no sense of urgency. There's this feeling that we have to wait our turn. And I also believe, I've been listening to your show since the early 90s in California when Bernie was on the radio, every Friday. And it was frustrating to me why other African Americans were not in support of Bernie, but I realized what it is because he really didn't address black people specifically. And there is just this sense of, we know you're going to vote for us, so we're going to push all this other legislation forward first, and you guys just have to wait. Or when there's a public issue where there are African Americans, we need support publicly, there's a hesitancy of the Democratic politicians to step forward for fear of whatever race baiting or for fear of whatever the being accused by a Republican of identity politics.
Right.
And so there's just this, it's insidious like racism. It's not any specific policy issue that's the problem. The problem is when issues come up that address black people specifically, there's also not an overwhelming support or response, especially by mainstream Democrats, to say, okay, we understand this is a racial issue. We understand that obviously race is affecting this, and let's, move forward and address it. This is kind of like, well, I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah, we have more in this election, this November election that's coming up. There are more African American women running for political office than in the history of the United States, as far as I can tell. I've seen this and it seems to me like that's probably the best solution to the problem. Is more people getting involved who live and breathe the problem, who understand, who have an intimate knowledge of it.
Agreed.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, if you could speak to the head of the Democratic Party, what would you say in terms of here's what you needed to do different, other than let's get more African Americans and particularly African American women, but more African Americans into positions of power?
I just feel like there needs to be more of some kind of public statement rather than retreating from issues around race. There needs to be more of a concerted effort or public statements that we understand that racism exists, because there are some Democratic politicians who just won't touch the issue because it's too sensitive for them. Yeah. There needs to be some kind of public understanding or statement by, leaders of the Democratic Party of, we understand there's a sense of urgency for you. We are here for you. We will support, that public statement does not happen. And for me, that's the bigger issue, not the policies.
It's part of the Democratic platform.
What?
To fight racism and to fight racist laws and to promote the interests of minorities in the United States and all that kind of stuff.
Correct. But what people notice are media responses, right? What people notice are, just public shows of support for, when something goes down publicly, that's obviously very racist, like you just talked about, the gentleman who was shot in the Stand Your Ground law. And, I don't watch a whole lot of mainstream news or media, but I don't see politicians coming out and saying, aside from maybe like a Cory Booker, this is terrible, what are we going to do to just even asking the question.
Lynn, that music means we're out of time. Lynn, thanks so much for the call. It's great to hear from you. We'll be right back.